Mighty, how you doing today? I'm good. I'm doing good, Mighty, like always. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So all you guys have this packet, so go ahead and take it out, please. And we'll go through it. So what we're gonna do is I'll read it together with you guys. We'll go over the causes of World War II, and then you guys within your group, you guys will read it. You guys will figure out the answers for the next page, which will be just filling in the blank, and then like kind of like how we always do it. I'll go over it with you. Make sure you guys have the right right answers, or you guys have the right ideas of what the answers are going to be. What I need you to do right now though is on the third page, from number 17 to number 20, if you guys could cross those out. We're not going to do 17 through 20. So even before we get started. So number 17 through 20, just cross those out. Okay, so before we begin, we're kind of just gonna talk about previous things that we've talked about leading up to this point, right? So the last thing that we did, the last test that we actually took was on the Great Depression and the New Deal, right? We talked about how the United States, after World War I, they kind of, there was like a time period where things were booming, right? The 1920s, things were booming, but what was happening? People were borrowing money, people were investing in the stock market, and then when the stock market crashes, then the United States goes into a depression. So we talked about that, the Great Depression. We talked about how President Roosevelt, how he came in the office, and he started the New Deal, which is trying to get the United States out of a rut, trying to get them out of the depression. So with that said, the United States in that time period was going through a depression, but right after World War I, Germany was going through a depression themselves, okay? And the reason Germany was going through a depression was because the Treaty of Versailles. So we kind of discussed this, and this is probably like a couple chapters ago. So I'm just trying to refresh your memory. So the Treaty of Versailles, it kind of pretty much put the blame on Germany for World War I. So kind of put the blame on them, and they couldn't build an army. They had to pay millions of dollars for the war, and so their economy was just ruined, right? And so they're broke, they have no money, a lot of people are starving, and it's just a bad time in Germany, okay? And so what we're gonna talk about is how Germany ends up getting out of their depression, and how their leadership, their government, in turn leads into World War II, and that's what we're gonna discuss today. Okay, so I'm gonna read some of this. I'll probably pick on people so you guys can read, or if you guys want to volunteer, that'll make it easier for me so I don't point you guys out. I don't want to pick on nobody, but I do want help reading because I don't want to read the whole thing, right? So, just the background, okay? After Germany lost World War I, they were treated very harshly by the Allies, specifically England and France. The Treaty of Versailles, which is the peace agreement that ended World War I, did many things to hurt Germany, such as limiting the size of their army, taking land away from Germany, and forcing Germany to pay large amounts of money to the Allied countries. And when we talk about World War I, the Allied countries are like USA, France, Great Britain, right? Those are the Allied countries. So the Treaty of Versailles made them pay back because there would have been no war. The Allied countries wouldn't have had to come in if it wasn't for the way Germany was moving around during that time period. Although many thought these were appropriate ways to consequence Germany, it also left the German economy in ruins. Okay, you guys know what like being in ruins is? What is in ruins? What does in ruins mean? That's part of it. Say they're in debt. What else? Like when things are just destroyed, a disaster, right? So that's what Germany's economy was in. It was in ruins. Even the country of Germany as a whole was pretty much in ruins. The country was out of money and in an economic depression. The citizens were poor, and some were starving, and the government was a mess.
This is for you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so the citizens were poor and some were starving and the government was a mess. So with your partner, this is what I need you to discuss. Okay, I'm asking you guys a question. With your partner, I'll give you guys about 30 seconds to discuss this. And this is all your guys' opinion, okay? So don't think that there's a right answer, wrong answer, you have to search for anything. Just discuss with your partner and come up with an idea, okay? What do you think happens in a country that is in a depression and has no government leadership? Go ahead, with your partner, go ahead and discuss that. So what happens when there's no government leadership and you're in a depression, okay? We talked about the United States, right? We talked about the United States going to depression. So what do you think happens in a country like that? Go ahead.
More politics. The revenue come to middle class.
Some bench goes down, food.
So, everybody discuss it? Go ahead and wrap it up. Okay, so Benito, what did you and Kayla discuss?
We talked about like how if there's no world leadership and no economical system, it'll become chaos.
Chaos, right? Like bad things are gonna start happening, right? You know, anybody else have an opinion? Anybody other group? Any other group? Okay, so I kind of heard Benito and Kayla talking. They're talking about chaos, but they're talking about like crime goes up. They're talking about like it's gonna be chaotic because now they're gonna be like wondering why the government's not helping. So they're gonna go against government leadership, right? They're gonna revolt. And we talked about revolutions before, and that's what the people do. When people are in like ruin and people are not, you know, living the right lifestyle that they're used to, they kind of revolt and they want change. Okay, so they're looking for change. They're looking for hope to get out of where they're at, right? Okay, so this is gonna lead to something else, right? We talk about when people are in troubled times, they're looking for something to get out of it. They're gonna look for someone to lend a helping hand. And so this is what's gonna lead to the next part. Does somebody wanna read that second paragraph, please? Anybody wanna volunteer? Go ahead, Benito.
All of this turmoil and chaos in Germany created a perfect situation for a man named Adolf Hitler to rise to power. Hitler was a soldier for Germany in World War I, and after the war, got into politics. While in politics, he was extremely good at giving speeches and making people support what he was saying. This allowed him to rise quickly in the German government. Hitler sent a clear message to the country. Others were to blame for the country's depression and hard times, not Germany. The citizens of Germany loved this message and supported Hitler all the way to him becoming the country's chancellor and period or leader.
Okay, so just like what Benito read, okay? They're in turmoil, they're in chaos, and that creates a perfect opportunity for Hitler to come to power. Okay, and I kind of discussed this with my other class, and I kind of give an example of it. So in world history last year, we learned about like the Romans, right? We learned about the Romans, and we learned about how a lot of people in the Roman government, or like a lot of people in like during that time, they were living poorly. All the people at the top were living good. They were living poorly, and like the people at the bottom were living poorly. So what happens in that time period is Jesus Christ comes, okay? And we all know who Jesus Christ is, right? We pray, you know, sometimes, okay? So Jesus Christ comes, he tells people like, if you follow me, if you believe in me, you know, you'll live a life of happiness beyond this. You'll go to heaven. Things will get better, okay? And so people that have nothing, they're looking for something, right? They're looking for something to make them feel better, to get out of this, right? And so it's the same thing that Hitler does. Even though it's completely different, even though it's like completely different time periods, Hitler does the same thing. He dwells on people's lack of hope. So he taps into that, like, okay, if you follow me, if you believe in me, I'll make things better for you. So that's why it created a perfect opportunity for them to get better, because Hitler kind of, you know, he dwelled on them like suffering. He's like, okay, well, if I tell them that we're gonna get out of that, then they're gonna believe in me, they'll follow and do whatever I ask of them. So it's a perfect opportunity for someone like him to take over and become a leader, okay? So that leads me to my next question. with your partner, discuss what do you think what do you think Germany's struggle created for Hitler? What did Germany's struggle create for Hitler? Okay. Go ahead.
To me, it created where more people have to
He's trying to Jesus.
like lead the country, or they'll
The first world
have
war.
to become one of the armies.
Okay. Other than Benito's group, can somebody give me a reason or give me an idea of what did Germany's struggle create for Hitler? What did it create for him? Go ahead.
A perfect chance to take over.
Perfect chance to take over, opportunity, right? And I kind of just went over it. We just created that opportunity for him to say, okay, I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna help my people get out of the rut that we're in, and people are gonna follow me. Great job. Okay. Who's willing to read this third paragraph? Somebody want to read the third paragraph? You feel confident in reading? Go ahead, Michelle.
As Hitler was rising to the power and the German government, he joined and soon became the leader of the
Nazi.
Nazi Party.
Mm-hmm.
Hitler and his Nazi government had allied themselves with Italy and the Benito
Mussolini.
Mussolini Hitler played in
Fascist.
governments were related to being a dictator or someone who has complete control over the country. They also wanted to expand their country by attacking other countries and taking them down. Hitler began to
Rearm.
rearm Germany, increasing their military power and creating large army which was against the territory of
That's the Treaty of Versailles.
Austria.
No, it's fine. That's fine.
In 1935, Italy invaded and took over
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia. Then in 1938, Hitler took over Estonia, not the lead of Russia or any other country did anything to stop him. So in 1939, Hitler took over.
Czechoslovakia. I know that's a tough one. Okay. So, right, Hitler came to power and he created the Nazi political party. Okay, and they allied themselves with Benito Mussolini and Italy. So, what is an ally? What's an ally? You guys know what an ally is?
Like when,
It's like a truce.
like,
Not a truce, but like
whenever,
Agreeing
like,
fight for it to be with each other.
like yeah, kind of like
like an agreement.
yeah, we'll have each other's backs. We're allies. We're gonna have each other's backs. The agreement's
Yeah.
kind of like be like, oh, we'll be with each other. Okay, we're friends. You know, we'll go against everybody. You're my partner, pretty much. Okay, so they allied with Benito Mussolini and Italy, and they developed fascist governments. And so in the fascist government, the leader becomes a dictator, and we know what a dictator is, right? Somebody that has complete control of everything in the whole government. We talked about this last year. Who's a dictator?
Ms. Valentine.
In her household, Mrs. Valdez is a dictator, right? She runs it, right? With an iron fist, okay? But that's someone, well, we remembered it, right? So a dictator is somebody that runs the whole thing, and everybody kind of, you know, if you want to do anything in that country, you have to go through them, pretty much, right? Okay, and so he wanted to expand. Once you get some kind of power, you want to expand. And so they recreated their army, which wasn't supposed to happen because in the Treaty of Versailles, they weren't supposed to build their army. They invaded Ethiopia, they invaded Austria, and then Czechoslovakia. So they're starting to take over these smaller countries and gain their power. Okay? So, now, this is an opinion question. This is a question I'm going to ask you. We said a fascist government is someone that they have a dictator and somebody has complete control. How do you think the U.S. would be if we had a fascist government and we had a dictator? Like, how do you think your life would be different if you guys lived in a country, the United States was run by a dictator and they controlled every aspect of your life? Go ahead. What's your partner?
I think the world will change and we'll be living like in a
Be very
nice
confident,
area.
control everything, power over everything else. That we get.
Yeah.
Alright, so I heard Lex, you said something pretty good, and I kinda heard it. What'd you say? Well, how would it be if we were under control of a dictator?
We wouldn't be able to do stuff that we would want to do.
Right? We wouldn't be able to do the things that we enjoy, right? We'd always have to be a part of an agenda of what the person at the top wants us to do, right? Anybody else? How would it be? No freedoms, right? And those people in these times, right? They believe that, yeah, the leadership's good and we look up to this guy, but they didn't have freedoms, okay? They didn't have the freedom that they believed that this person would give them. Yes, he might have brought them out of the rut that they were in, but the freedom is gone. So that's one thing we have to understand, right? In a dictator or a government that's run by a dictator, that those freedoms are taken away at a lot of points, okay? So we're lucky to be in the United States, right? We have those freedoms. We're able to do what we want to do. If we want to go to the store and get something, we go to the store and get something. We want to play sports, we can play sports. We want to go to the movie theater, we can go to the movie theater and watch whatever we want. There's no, like, you can only watch this, you can only do this, you can only go here. That's kind of like how it is in a more strict, some places are more strict than others, right? You go to like North Korea, it's strict, like they don't let you watch certain things. They don't let you, like, you have to watch whatever they tell you to watch. They don't get like information from other countries, like it's just like North Korea or nothing.
They have a good.
That's an extreme dictator. That's like totalitarianism, where there's just total control of everything. Okay, so during this time, Japan was also taking over countries in Asia. Despite all the aggression, European countries and America did very little to stop it. European countries were tired from World War I and only 30 years earlier and did not want to get involved in yet another conflict. As a result, they took an approach known as appeasement. This meant that instead of fighting Hitler and engaging in another war, they would give him what he wanted to keep him happy. The hope was that once Hitler got what he wanted, he would stop the war, or he would stop and the war would be avoided. Instead, this only made Hitler more confident and gave him more time to build a stronger army. During this time, America was experiencing the Great Depression. This was an extremely difficult time for America, and as a result, they had no desire to go all the way to Europe and fight in another war. Okay, so there was a word that was kind of highlighted in this text. It's called appeasement. And they kind of explained what it was. So appeasement, you guys know what appeasement is? Go ahead, what do you think appeasement is? I'll give you guys an example. Kaylee, you got nephews, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so say your nephew, he's like bothering you. He's like, hey, yeah, you know, and you're just like, okay, like stop, and you're like, okay, and then he's like, I just want candy, and you're like, yeah, and then you're like, okay, here's your candy, get out of here. Like, I don't want you to bother me anymore. Here's your candy, get out of here, right? Like, you just kind of like, yeah, whatever, until like you just appease him. Here's your candy, get out of here. Let him do what he wants. Yeah, you get him what they want, right? You kind of ignore him until then you give him what he wants and be like, okay, now he'll leave me alone and he's not gonna bother me no more. It's kind of the same sense as what they do with Hitler. They're kind of like, yeah, he's doing what he wants, but if we just, ignore him, we just give him what he wants, he's just gonna stop. But, right, I have kids too, they're gonna keep coming back for more. They're not gonna stop bothering you, right? Hitler on the other end, he said, he's gonna keep going. Because of appeasement, they kind of allowed him to get stronger because no one was doing anything to him to stop him. He was like, well, all right, I'm just gonna take advantage of it. And so what he did is he just continued to build his army, continued to expand his empire, and he just got stronger. Because instead of, teaching him a lesson or like saying, stop, you're not gonna get this, or you're not gonna do this, they just allowed it to happen and it just got worse. Okay? And so So that's kind of what appeasement is. They were just ignoring it, hoping it would go away, and it never went away. Okay, so how do you think appeasement backfired in Europe? We just talked about it, right? Hitler, he was able to grow his army, he was able to expand, he was able to get stronger, and then that was gonna make it more difficult for Europe to stop Hitler. Once he got rolling, that snowball effect came, and he was just an avalanche now. Okay. All right. Finally, on September 1st, 1939, Hitler invaded Poland. At this point, Great Britain, France, and other countries declared war on Nazi Germany, officially starting World War II. America, though, did not declare war until 1941, when what happened? You guys know what happened? Why the US came to war? Pearl Harbor, okay? When Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, an American naval base. Russia also did not declare war on Germany until 1941, when Germany broke their non-aggression agreement, which said they would not attack each other. So, the United States didn't want to get involved. Even though they're allied countries, like Great Britain and France, they declared war on Germany, the United States was like, we're not going to get involved. We're still getting out of depression, we're just hanging out. We're just going to stay on, our side of the Atlantic Ocean. We're staying away from all that drama. But then, Japan comes and bombs the United States. That's what gets the United States involved, right? So we're like, okay, now we got to get involved. Russia, who's run by a dictator, so they kind of had a non-aggression agreement. Hitler and Stalin, okay, Joseph Stalin, they had an agreement. And so Joseph Stalin, he's the dictator of Russia. They had an agreement to where, like, we won't, a non-aggression, like, we won't get involved. You guys don't attack us, we won't attack you. It's a non-aggression agreement, right? But because Hitler, he got in over his head, he's taking over countries, he's getting stronger, he said, now I'm gonna go and invade you guys. I'm gonna go and try to step on your grounds. And Stalin was like, nah. It's not happening. So what he does, they end the pact, and then Russia comes into the war as an ally. So they're with Great Britain, France, United States. They're on our team. And that kind of helps us out because we'll learn about this later. When Germany goes to Russia, it kind of hurts them big time, and it kind of helps us win World War II. Okay? So, with your partner, we went over this, right? We went over the reading with your partner. I want you guys to answer questions, the fill in the blank questions. So I want you guys to answer questions 1 through 10, okay? So you guys work together. You can refer back to the reading, but you guys are going to answer questions 1 through 10, and I'll give you guys about 10 minutes. Okay, I'll give you guys about 10 minutes, and then I will help you guys and go over those questions, okay? So go ahead with your partner. I should hear some discussion. You guys will be doing it together, not just by yourself and giving answers. Make sure you guys are working together, and you guys get those answers for number 1 through 10. Mason, come sit right here, so you guys can work together. Mikey, you want to scoot over a little bit? Work with Michelle. You guys are friends. If you guys need help understanding a question or reading a question, I'll be walking around to help you guys out with that, okay? And Mrs. Valdez will help you as well. You just gotta hear it read one time and then you'll be like, oh yeah, that's what it is.
Approach to dictate.
Which one you guys need to do? The first one? You guys look at number 2? Okay, the treaty versus
It's not right.
We discussed last night, broke, war, everything messed up, so that was
about.
You guys talked about it up there.
Yeah, Mr. Graham went over it.
Mr. Graham asked you guys what it meant. And I think someone did say like,
Species.
Sorry, Mike, I didn't hear you.
Well, nice name.
So let me see. Let me read the first one. It says, European countries, specifically England and France, took an approach known as Europe. I kind of discussed it when we talked about it.
What was the name, but I don't remember where.
And you have it highlighted, I see it. In that fourth paragraph. So you know what you're talking about. You know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Right? That didn't make a good start.
why are you guys not talking to each other?
I'm not asking.
The third one is the, their neighbors.
Yeah.
Where'd you find them?
Up here.
And
When it was, Germany's a communism grounds. September 3rd.
No, so non-aggression with Russia. So England.
Okay, so what they do, so it's not being, so despite all aggression in countries,
So somewhere.
Grand Prix was like real big, make sure that they. I think, this question already has the answer because it said on September 1st, Hitler invaded, on September 1st, what year though? Oh.
Spelling bee champ.
R-U-I-N-S.
This one.
yeah,
The European countries, I think I already found the first.
yeah.
There was some, European countries, specifically England and France, took an approach known as blank when dealing with Germany's aggression.
Who's politician?
Politics, really, video speeches, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they try to go there and make speeches and stuff, it's like, that would go.
Okay, so, you guys are doing a great job working independently, I appreciate that. But because, we are on a shorter day today, I'm just gonna help you guys go over it so we can check to see like if you guys understood the whole context of what we were learning about, okay? So, I'll start from number one and then we'll continue to go from there. European countries, specifically England and France, took an approach known as what? Appeasement, right? And that's kind of how we discussed, right? When I discussed with the little kid, right? They want to just ignore them and give them what they want until they go away, but obviously, Hitler and Germany didn't go away. Number two, the Treaty of Versailles left Germany's economy in what?
Ruins.
Ruins. Good. And what did we say ruins was?
Destroyed.
Destroyed, right? They were broke, they didn't have nothing, right? Just a disaster. Number three, Hitler allied himself with who?
Benito Mussolini.
Good. Italy's fascist dictator Benito Mussolini. Okay, and what's a fascist? What's a fascist type of government?
A dictator?
They have a dictator that runs, controls everything, right? Okay, on September 1st,
1939.
1939, Hitler invaded Poland and World War II officially began. Number 5, after getting into politics, Blank realized he was extremely talented at giving speeches.
Hitler.
Hitler, right? Great at giving speeches, good at politics, believes that he can get his country out of their economic depression. And he did. He did help them out a lot. Great leader. We just don't know it was for a good reason or a bad reason. Honestly, in our opinion, right, as Americans, we see it as bad, but maybe for Germany, that is something that got them out of an economic depression. So different views, right? Especially in history, there's always different views. After World War I and the Treaty of Versailles, Germany was in an economic blank.
Depression.
Depression, good. Some citizens were starving and the government was a mess. In 1938, when Hitler took over Austria, the blank
League of
did
Nations.
nothing, so he attacked Czechoslovakia. So the League of Nations. The League of Nations, right? And they were, like we talked about, they were taking, the appeasement approach, just kind of ignoring it and letting him do what he wanted to do. America did not join the war until when?
Japan.
Until Japan? Not Japan.
Wait.
1941.
Oh yeah, until Japan. Yeah, you're right. I was just, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. I'm sorry, I was thinking about until Pearl Harbor was bombed.
It's either Japan or
Japan, it was
1941.
Japan, it was Japan. Yeah, I'm sorry, I kinda zoned out. Thank you. I apologize for that. Now, as number 9, as Hitler rose to power, he became the leader of the what?
Nazi.
Nazi political party. Okay. And then number 10, Russia and Germany had a blank agreement which they did not attack each other.
Non-aggression.
Non-aggression. Okay, does that non-aggression act last long?
Nope.
No, right? Germany tries to invade or declares war on Russia, and Russia gets involved and joins the Allies, right? Which was a kind of a bad move for Hitler. We'll figure that out later. Okay, so just to review, what did Hitler do, or why was it easy for Hitler to take control of Germany?
Because it had
No leaders.
Good, no leaders, and the economy wasn't doing well, right? Who did Hitler connect with? Who did he ally with?
Benito.
Benito Mussolini, good. And the last thing, why do you think the United States did not want to join the war?
Because they were in the depression.
They're in the Depression, and they didn't want to get involved in another war, right? They just kind of are like, nah, we'll stay out of this one. So, good job. What we're gonna get into probably later or tomorrow is we're gonna get into the actual start of the war, all the things, the details of getting into the war. This is just the causes of how the war started. Okay, so we'll get into the details of war, all the battles, United States getting into the war, and how it affected our economy on the back end. Right, we came out of depression, and we just kind of advanced as a country after World War II. So, good job today. Make sure you guys write your names on it, and I'll collect them. So go ahead and write your names, and I'll just walk around and I'll collect them. You guys got like 1 minute. Thank you, Mikey.
Cut the video.